tune.
Sak Pase, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Team Sak Pase Podcast. My name is Glad.
And my name is Rob.
And we are live today, our first live podcast on location.
On location.
Give a clap for that.
On location.
Yeah, make some noise.
On location.
Big shout out, we at Rebel at the Lower East
live
Side.
at Rebel in the city.
Absolutely,
Downtown.
Lower East Side. Big shout out to Al.
Rebel.
Lower East Side, no doubt.
Shout out to our bartender, Al.
No doubt. Shout out to Kai Sue, Chef Marie. We're doing it right, you know what I'm saying? Our first on location podcast.
Yes.
And we want to bring to you guys another. Oh, by the way, in case it gets loud, get used to it, because we are live.
We are live.
We are
This is how we do in New York City. This is how we do in New York City.
This is how we do it. So,
So,
welcome to another episode of the entrepreneurship series. The first episode, we talked a little bit about how we first started, right? How we made the brand, the phrase Sak Pase cool. So now we're gonna dig deep a little bit, and we're gonna go into it a little bit more about our brand, and we're gonna talk about specifically branding, right? So let's get into it, Rob. Like, what was, like, when we first started, right? What was some of the first conversations when we spoke about branding?
Well, basically, we wanted to start off where it was kind of like we had that mixtape idea where we had to be with everyone, every party, every DJ had to know what Sak Pase was about.
Right. And we didn't know anybody.
We hardly knew anything.
And the first person that we had the entry to or with in a relationship with was DJ Bobby Jams.
Right.
So that clicked in our minds, like, you know what, let's create these relationships with the other DJs within the community, and that's how that whole mixtape idea started. So continue.
Yeah, so we were just like, look, let's go into the clubs, let's follow these DJs, and let's just give them the t-shirts, because they're the marketers, they're the ones, they're their own managers, they're out here. Right. People see them, they're literally like a walking billboard. So we basically said, all right, you know what? We help you, they help us, and we create a relationship. That's all about branding. It's all about building relationships. At the end of the day, it's about building relationships, because now it's full circle where a lot of these entrepreneurs that we've come across are now coming, like, literally full circle where we're like, yo, let's do something together.
Right.
And because we built that relationship, and that's 101. It doesn't matter how much money you got or whatever, but as long as you have that relationship, you're Gucci.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I'll tell you a funny story, right?
What's that?
In the beginning, when we was in the culture rocking these shirts, they didn't even know what we were doing. They didn't even know who we were. You know what I'm saying? Like, they thought we were a basketball team.
Yeah, Sak Pase was like, we walked in the airport. Remember the airport?
It was crazy.
Yeah.
It was
about
crazy.
The airport.
But that was the whole thing about branding. Like, believing in yourself, believing in the brand, and then everything else will follow. In the beginning, they didn't know what we were, who we were, what we were doing.
Can I show them how believing in the brand is? Like,
there it is. Like, zoom in on that. Show that again.
Shout out to our Gil, our production dude,
Gil
camera
Rios,
dude, Gil Rios.
Behind the camera.
Yo, Gil, man, like, branding 101, this dude right here, he's seen us from day one.
No doubt.
And he's, wearing a hat, everything, you know what I'm saying? Viva Haiti. This is Viva Haiti, long live Haiti right here. That's what's up, man.
Nah,
so,
but
it's
they didn't know who we were. But and I think the biggest thing was that we didn't give a hell.
No, we didn't.
We didn't give a hell.
Well, that came from you.
Yeah, we didn't.
How did you create that? Because you were like, I was a little timid. You were more like, yo, let's go.
I just think it's just trial and error and just interning for all of these big fashion brands as a young kid in college.
What did you intern for? Let's talk about that.
I interned for Biggie's clothing line, like literally the year after he passed. He had a line called Brooklyn Mint.
Nice.
And that's when it really all started for me, just meeting a lot of people in the fashion business, in the urban fashion world, and connecting with Tony Shellman and Shaka of Aniche clothing, and then working names with, rest in peace, Phil Pabon, Dre's brother. You know what I'm saying? These guys had a certain swag, they had a certain attitude, and when you're around these guys all the time, it rubs off on you. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So I guess that's where it came from.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so when it was our turn to do something dope for the culture, that attitude, it just crossed over, and we just didn't care. You know what I'm saying? And that's the attitude that we have. I mean, what brand have you seen had a freaking mascot go in between the crowd at a compa party? Us. Ain't nobody doing this, guys.
No, nobody
Ain't nobody
did it. Nobody did it. Like,
nobody
we just
doing
went through the whole
We had a
crowd.
mascot going through a party of like 300, 400 people.
And we had like, can't forget the models. We had like 12 models with us
Yeah.
following. Everybody was in yellow.
We had the
green,
loud horns,
the horns,
all of that.
Everybody, I forgot who was it on stage, and they were like, "Yo, seriously?" Like that face was just like.
I think it was Mikael Guillon of at the time Comedy. He was
Comedy.
performing.
Right,
and he was
right.
like, "Yo, these guys are messing up my swag on stage."
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? But man, I think, and that's where branding begins.
Right,
it begins with the love and the passion and the belief of your brand, and then everything else will follow.
The brand is yourself. The brand
Right.
is you.
Absolutely. The brand is you.
Absolutely.
And I look, in the first interview or the first episode that we had, I said, you know what? Everybody else is copycats, we the originators. And I want to specifically say that it's not really, the designers who are originals. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to our whole Runway Pride crew. You know what I'm saying? The Jacques, Heritage Trends, Virgil. These people
Haitians
are original. Right. Haitians Rock, of course. Big shout out to Ron. These people are original. They came with a buffet, different designs to, celebrate the culture. When I specifically meant about copycats, it's like they saw what we were doing with Sak Pase, so they want to come out with another Sak Pase shirt, right? So be original. And that's a big part of branding too. Being original, creating your own lane, you know what I mean? So that's what we're talking about when we're talking about branding.
Right.
Any other stories that you want to share?
Yeah, man. We talked about from branding. Like we talked about the DJ experience.
Yep.
So we went from shout out to Stacks, Mars, Bobby Jams. We went to the hottest DJs that are actually in the Haitian culture and that are crossing over now. So we were like, you know what? Let's tap into that, build a relationship, a genuine relationship, not just because we want to do,
Yeah, the relationship
stuff.
or the networking became a friendship.
Exactly.
Over time.
Because you and I, we came from the hip hop market. We've done this. We've actually seen this stuff, like, the internships that we've done. And now it's like, all right, you know what? Let's take that, bring it into the Haitian culture, and just do the same. It's the formula, the same formula. So it's just, let's tap into these DJs and say, look, we'll help you, you help us, we work together. It's a no-brainer.
Absolutely.
Because you're out here all the time. I'm not waking up every day, literally at 4 a.m, or like, these guys are like grinding, man. Like, and they have, a lot of them have their 9 to 5s.
Right.
And they have like their own personal lives. And then they're literally going from 11 to 4, technically, 11 to 4 in the morning, and then waking up the next day just like what we were doing.
Right.
So we were like, yo, we got the same mindset.
You got the same mindset.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about SK. When SK came on board.
Ooh, shout out to SK.
Shout out to SK.
Sandy came public. PR, yes.
She took our whole branding to a whole nother level because it's like, we hit a certain ceiling in the culture, right? It was like we were doing a lot. We met all of the tastemakers,
right.
But then SK came on board and she said, you know what? I'm gonna take this brand and you guys started in the hip hop industry, came to the Haitian culture. Now I'm gonna bring you guys back into the hip hop culture. And that's when, she gave us the billboard. She hooked that up for us.
Yes.
She got the connect for getting us into New York Fashion Week.
Yes.
All of those things. Again, it's all about the branding.
It
looks pretty.
I'm sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can't forget the whole collaboration we did with Sak Pase DM.
We can't forget that. She was a big.
She formulated all of that.
Big part of formulating that whole thing.
Man, big time.
All of those aspects, these are all aspects of branding and promoting yourself. But it looks pretty the final product looks pretty on social media, but the work, bro.
Yeah, the work was crazy.
The work to putting behind your brand, it takes so much effort. It takes so much time to like really invest and to make sure that that event comes out right. And even when doing the event, there are disasters that you guys will probably never.
A lot of behind the scenes disasters
that you'll never see and understand, but like.
Which we will talk about.
Which we will talk about in another section.
Yes.
Or another episode. But yeah, all of that stuff is important when it comes to branding. So let's talk about SK coming into being a part of the team and taking it to another level?
It was like a missing puzzle. She came in and okay, I'm gonna give it out to the females. You gotta have a female on your crew. That's a big. You gotta have a female on your crew. Don't you agree, Al? Thank you.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
And shout out to Nafisa and Fred for giving us the opportunity to sit here and we talk about all these things.
Yeah, we here.
Shout out to Nafisa and Fred with Rebel.
It's a beautiful spot. Rebel. Nah, it's a dope. It's a dope vibe in here for sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Shout out to them, man. Thank you again. But it's when SK came in, it was like she was like that missing puzzle, and she was like the head and we were the neck and it just came together and that's how that's just it. Yeah, because she had so many background experience. She
took a lot out of our hands so we could continue to stay creative with our designs and the sales behind the scenes. She was setting up appointments, getting us a lot of interviews that we didn't get before.
Right.
And having a publicist who understands branding and who understands your brand and vision is very important to somebody's brand. So when it comes to branding, guys, I think having a team that understands your vision is very important. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you need a publicist, but just having a team who understand, how you post or how you do certain events. Again, we'll never share our secret sauce, but let's just say that you need people on your team who understand the vision of the brand.
Yeah, everyone has their own kind of sauce, so to speak.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? You have your own personality, I have my own, and we just come together, we work things out with Sandy.
Right.
And explain what, literally, in your words, what a publicist is. What is their
It's public
task?
relations. It's creating relationships with people that we need to meet. It's creating, getting more viewership outside of where we already were, right? Mm-hmm. So she gave us countless interviews, bro, that of people that we didn't even have contact with, and that just expanded the brand. Getting us a billboard in Times Square,
Crazy.
We never thought about that. It's Sandy that said, you know what?
Crazy.
We need to just do something completely different. I'm here to give shock value. We're gonna go and we're gonna do a billboard in Times Square, and that was great brand awareness.
Big time.
I guess the culture we were kind of ahead of the game with that, but that was brand awareness, and that's what a job of a publicist does.
Right. So let's talk about the culture.
Let's talk about the culture.
Branding.
It's not easy.
It's not easy. It is not easy, people. It is not easy. And I think that comes with every brand.
I'll tell you a culture shock. We'll continue. Hold that thought.
Go ahead.
The first time we went to Miami, 2010, 11,
yes,
we couldn't get in.
Right.
Right. This is before we even formed Denalsi.
I remember that.
Right. We're there with our Babaku shirts, and who's selling? No disrespect, but who's selling the Haitian shirts? A Spanish dude. Right.
Yep.
And we're like, okay, it's cool, but it's like
for $10.
But then the thing is like, it was a culture shock to me. But then it's like, that was like, okay, that means that they don't know us because we were selling the shirts, but they were going to him because he was going to the festival every year, so they were familiar with Poppy, right? Poppy was there every year at the festival. And but then we come in with our shirts and it's like you don't want these shirts,
right?
Because it was like we felt like our shirts had better quality and representing the culture, and it was like, oh my God, so we're gonna have to go out there and really build relationships with our people.
See, the thing is, when we talk about quality, I like the
you're big on quality.
Huge on quality, bro. Quality is key. There are a lot of brands out here that if you want to start a t-shirt brand, start right off the back with the quality. Yes, you want to push your name. It all depends on your budget and everything like that. But quality, a lot of people, when we first started these shirts, people were like, yo, your shirt fits like a glove. And that was the quality, that was the aha moment. Let's continue with this brand, and because we did our research with all kinds of different brands because the Miami market is different from the New York market.
It is.
There are certain things that We'll go down. We go to Miami. We'll push hard.
Yep.
And at times they were promo shirts, but they loved them. But then in the New York market, it's a little different. You know what I'm saying? So the quality, and it was like, you have your promotional shirts, your throwaways that you give out to the crowd, and you have your shirts that we sell online. So what was crazy was the promotional shirts, people were like, give me. They were eating it up. They were like, yo, I want this. But at the same time, it's kind of like, you're still branding. It's all branding. As long as you go against the grain, like you like we were doing certain things, and you gotta have like your wow moment. You gotta sit down. You gotta sit down with your team. Everyone's on the same page. You gotta have a wow moment. What's that wow moment? So Sak Pase is live. It's freestyle. It's everything under the umbrella. So we went with it.
I remember we're in Miami one day, right? We're doing this crazy promotion. Somebody pulls me to the side. It was like, there's nothing else you could do. You guys have done everything.
Wow.
And in the back of my mind, I'm saying, you haven't seen nothing yet. Right?
Just the beginning.
Like, you haven't seen nothing yet. It's just the beginning. And when we took a step back, like, we took a three-year hiatus, right?
Yeah.
People were like, they're done. They're finished. And I'm like, we're just getting started.
Getting started.
You know, what you guys saw the last 9 years, that was Act 1, you know, this is Act 2, you know.
Absolutely. I like that act.
Yeah, we've introduced a podcast to our brand. So, you know, we've pivoted. And again, what we're doing right now, we're branding. That's what we're doing, right? We're branding.
Yep.
So you were gonna say something?
I was gonna say, just to plug that in, where as a young, let's say you're a young hip hop artist, right? And you walk into a label.
Yeah.
Nowadays, a label is not just gonna pick you up because you can rap. You literally gotta show marketing techniques. How can you market yourself? What makes you different from the rest? So literally, that's the way we think about the brand. How do you market this brand differently from the rest?
Right.
And it's like we took the Sak Pase, which is a well-known word, and we crossed it over into the American market. People who are involved within the Haitian community on all walks of life. So what better way? Because as soon as you say, hey, are you Haitian? Sak Pase. Right. So we trademarked it, we made it happen, and we said, you know what? Let's take that same concept and we roll it out.
Definitely.
And the Haitian community, it took them some time, but they're finally seeing it where it's like that aha moment for the culture.
It's still taking a little time, but I think they understand our brand.
Right. They understand. It's not just saying like, we're both born and raised in Brooklyn.
Right.
But at the same time, our culture, like we grew up on burgers and fries.
Yeah.
We grew up on Sak Pase.
Yeah.
So now we're merging the two, and now it's like, hey, there you go.
Now let's talk about a branding pitfall. We'll give them one. We mentioned it in the first episode.
Right.
Our first promotion in Miami, right? Because it's not all glory. It's not all glory and fame. It's not all beautiful, right? So we're gonna share with you guys a branding pitfall, promotion pitfall. How much time do we
have, Mr.
How much time we have?
You guys are 18 minutes in.
18 minutes. All right, cool.
Oh, okay, cool. So we got some time to talk. This is a long.
Yeah, we could just keep talking. So, 2012, we decided to go to Miami. 3 trucks, 15 models. I don't even know how many amount of shirts, but the main goal was to not only brand and introduce the brand to the community, but the other goal was to sell our shirts. So, at the time, we didn't have any local printers. Right? So what did we decide to do?
We decided to go to China. Let's go to China just like the rest of them.
Right.
And China was it was a hot mess. It was a hot mess, Ben, and it was just something it's a learning experience. So with that learning experience, we learned that we have to do everything ahead of time. Like in the fashion world, it's always one season ahead.
Yep.
And we have to do the same with our brand.
Right.
But in China, it went a little extra because we got domestic, you got the ports, You gotta get clearance, customs. You gotta get clearance and customs.
It was a disaster.
It was a disaster,
Right.
and it didn't make it. We cut it off at the port because we needed a whole team, an agent to clear all this stuff from customs because this was our first time ordering from that company, and that company never said anything, of course.
Right.
But God is great because we got the refund literally a day before we took our flight out to Miami. We had no idea we went out there with we ordered maybe 500 shirts.
Yeah.
But we only went out there with like half of that or something.
Yeah.
Nearly because we had our guy out here. But
right.
It was just but it was a mess.
I remember we're on the flight. We're just frustrated because we were like, we wanted to make some money. But out of that disaster, it became still to this day. If you guys go back to our YouTube page and look at the 2012 promotion video, it's still the most watched video that we've ever had on our channel. Over 28,000 views. Yeah. So that video, yes, we invested a lot of money in the promotion, but it went viral in the community. It just went viral. So by the time we came back home to New York, people were asking us for the shirt.
Right.
And guess what? We didn't even have a website up yet.
And it was really like guerrilla style.
We didn't have a website up yet. So we were taking orders from our phone, like, okay, what size are you? So we were figuring this thing out as soon as we came back from Miami. So yeah, there was a mini disaster, but guess what? We didn't know that there were other mini disasters that was gonna happen because we had to figure it out as we went along the road, you know what I mean? So it was great, and then we just had to just figure it out. So let's talk about Sak Pase DM.
Ah, yes. Now I think that was Sandy, and
yes,
I think something had happened, but Sak Pase DM was huge for us.
I don't even know where that lies as far as like how big. Like
that was crazy.
It's probably just as big as our first promotion, if not maybe bigger.
It may have been bigger,
just because of the collaboration. For those of you who don't know, together. DM is a very successful urban sportswear line.
Yes.
In the American culture. Sandy made the connection with the designer. Big shout out to Mike,
yes.
Who wanted to do something with the Haitian culture. Saw what we were about and said, you know what, this is great, and we wanted to do something for Haitian Flag Weekend. So he said, you know what, let's do a Sak Pase DM because we got this, the shirts we have. We got Sak Pase Haiti, Sak Pase Brooklyn. So we was like, yo, why not Sak Pase DM? Mm-hmm. And we came up with a dope design concept, and it went
crazy.
Now,
crazy.
Here, this is a great segue, right? The first big promotion we did, shirts get stuck in China, right? But this promotion, the shirts are made in the U.S.
In the U.S.
Right? And they're made ahead of time, so we learned our lesson. And guess what? We did an amazing pop-up shop, and financially we did amazing that weekend. So you learn from your mistakes, and at the same time, with what we're talking about today, branding, it was a great brand awareness promotion that weekend of the shirts. We did tank tops. We did hats,
bad hats,
t-shirts. We did the different colors. Gil, you were there. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Al's working behind the bar. He's already putting in his order. He wants one each. We got you. You know what I'm saying? So it was a great, from learning from the past, that branding experience, it went a lot smoother, and it was a success.
And that's the thing. When you have a company, don't think of your failures as your failures. Your failures are more about experience. Because they say you would rather have more failures because that's where you learn your failures to become successful. Your failures are your success. That's where there's certain, because you learn from that. You learn from your failures. Yeah. You gain experience. We have 20 plus years in fashion. So from the big names to independent names, everyone has to go through a failure to understand the next step. Okay, you know what? That was the aha moment. Now we can move forward because now we know next time, but we're still continuing that brand. It's not a get rich quick scam. It's not an overnight success. Literally, overnight success can take 10 years.
That's what happened
It
with
can
us.
literally, yeah.
That's exactly what
take
happened
10
with us
years.
because a lot of people didn't see that you were doing Bell Fashion on your own
Right.
back in 2003, right? And then you
Yes.
literally fast forward, and then they see these two guys with these popular Sak Pase shirts. They think that we're overnight successes. Nah, we failed over time, and you were doing it by yourself all of these years.
You speak
And you're
about
calling
that,
for help.
Calling for help. Let me talk about Bell Fashion. Cool. So Bell Fashion now, we're talking about, the dude called me up. He was making cards for me, right? So he was like, yo, what's the name of your company? Because I want to make these cards. I had a hookup at the card spot. And he was like, business cards. And he was like, yo, what's the name of your company? I was like, it's beautiful, but you know, the culture's beautiful, but I want to make something more sporty. I want to do something that's more like, in your face. And Bell, I was like, yeah, call it Bell Fashion. And that's how the name came up. It was literally on the phone.
That's crazy.
So dude was like, all right, cool. You know what? I love the name. I love the concept. I'm going to do 250 business cards. All right, cool. No problem. So I took those business cards, right? Mm-hmm. This is where I messed up. This was a failure in my book. So at one point, remember back in the day when everyone was rocking like 2X, like t-shirts down to the...
Yeah.
So here I go thinking, that's dope. I'm going to do the same thing.
Right.
I went ahead and ordered only extra large to 3X shirts. Bro, I sold maybe 10 out of 100 shirts I had on the table. Because people were like, yo, I'm a large. What is this? That was my aha moment. And it was just like, I had so much inventory left over, bro.
Yeah.
I had 3X shirts.
You learned that trends change very quickly.
Very quick, bro. By the time those
Yeah.
shirts were printed,
Yeah.
the trend had already
Died.
died
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
And so I took those business cards, I pinned it to those 3X shirts, and I like literally it was some promotional items, but that was a loss.
Yeah.
But it was a learning lesson.
Yeah.
I would rather have I took that learning lesson and I went ahead and said, you know what? All right, cool. The trend is the Euro cut is now in, you know, there are certain brands that came out with more Euro cut to size, fit to size. And yeah, that was crazy, man.
Awesome story. We got to wrap up. Gil said it's time to wrap up.
Yes, thank you.
This is just another episode of our entrepreneurship series of, you know, our brand. We're going to be releasing some more episodes of, you know, of the entrepreneurship series of what we've experienced and what, you know, we're just going to talk, you know, entrepreneurship talk. Again,
Right.
This podcast is about entrepreneurship. We're interviewing entrepreneurs from all sectors of industry, fashion, real estate, in the restaurant business, in the beauty business, and entertainment business.
Social influencers.
We've got so many people lined up, so continue to stay tuned in.
Yeah, check us out on Instagram. Don't forget Team Sak Pase.
Mental health. We're gonna be
mental
relationships.
health.
We're gonna be talking about it all.
That's big. Mental health is huge in our community.
Mental health is huge.
Team Sak Pase Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe at the bottom of the page. Subscribe. We got to get these numbers up. IG, Instagram, Facebook.
Yep.
Follow us on Facebook. Like our page, Team Sak Pase. And we shout out to everyone here at Rebel. Thank you. Whoa! Yes. All right, that's what's up. Thank y'all.
Team Sak Pase, we out.
Team Sak Pase.